Welcome to the deep dive. We take stacks of information, like this fantastic intro to data mining you shared, and we distill it down into insight for you. And today, we're kicking off with a quote from W. Edwards Deming, which I think sets the stage perfectly. Without data, you're just another person with an opinion.
Yeah, that's a powerful one. It really gets to the heart of what we're discussing today, doesn't it?
It really does.
Moving beyond just, having opinions to making decisions that are actually informed by what the information is telling us.
Exactly. It's about data mining.
Right. And it's not just about, crunching numbers. It's that transformation from raw stuff into, knowledge you can act on.
Yeah.
Giving you a real edge.
Absolutely. So our mission today, using these sources you've brought, is really to unpack these core ideas. We want to show you not just what things like R and RStudio are, but why they're so indispensable now.
Mm-hmm.
For anyone trying to make sense of all the information flying around, think of it as maybe a blueprint for augmenting your own thinking with these computational tools.
Yeah, augmenting thinking. That's a great way to put it.
We really want you to walk away feeling empowered by this, not, buried under jargon. Ready to tackle data.
Exactly. We're sort of giving you a shortcut here. A peek into how professionals actually use data, how they manage these sometimes pretty complex projects, and then how they communicate what they find.
Getting you equipped, basically.
Right, with the foundational tools to get past opinion and into real insight.
Okay, so let's dive in. The source material talks about motivation first. It argues data science, data mining. It's about moving from just opinions or raw data, like a spreadsheet with countries, years, life expectancy, kind of basic stuff, moving from that to somewhere much more insightful. And it defines data science as an iterative process of augmenting human thinking with computational tools to use data to make decisions in about the world. It's not about replacing intuition, is it? It's more like giving it superpowers.
Totally. It's like your gut feeling is now backed up with actual evidence.
Right.
So instead of just hoping you're right, you have a much better sense of knowing you are, or at least understanding the odds and the impact.
So you're making decisions based on evidence, not just vibes or what someone else reckons.
Exactly. That's the real driver behind getting into these tools.
That makes a lot of sense. So, okay, why R and RStudio specifically? The sources make a strong case for R. It's open source. And it highlights this point that R was built by statisticians, which it says is, quote, both a good and a bad thing. Let's unpack the bad thing bit. What are the crooks?
Yeah, good question. So the good is obvious, right? It's incredibly powerful for statistics. It was literally made by statisticians for statisticians. Deep roots in handling data, uncertainty, all that.
Okay.
The bad part, historically anyway, was that it could feel a bit, clunky. Maybe less intuitive for general programming compared to, say, Python initially.
Steeper learning curve, maybe, if you weren't coming from stats.
Potentially, yeah. And this is the crucial part. The sources hit on the R community is absolutely massive and incredibly active. And that community constantly smooths over those rough edges, develops new tools, makes things more accessible. That historical bad part is much less of a factor now because of the community effort.
And why is that community aspect so important? You mentioned R-bloggers, R-Ladies Global, Tidy Tuesday. What do these mean for someone maybe not deep in the coding weeds yet?
Well, it means there's just a constant flow of help and innovation. R-bloggers.
Yeah.
That's like a giant library of tutorials, new techniques, people sharing solutions. You're never really stuck for long.
Okay.
R-Ladies Global is fantastic for building a more inclusive, supportive space, specifically for women in the field. And Tidy Tuesday, that's like a weekly workout for your R skills. People grab real data, analyze it, share their code and graphs.
So it's a living, breathing ecosystem.
Exactly. It keeps the language improving, provides tons of examples. It means the tools get better and more reliable all the time, thanks to everyone chipping in.
Got it. So R is the engine, but you need a good dashboard. That brings us to RStudio. The sources call it the integrated environment that tames chaos. I like that. It talks about tackling cognitive stress by looking at two kinds of surprise. First is analytical surprise, the good kind, where the data tells you something unexpected, something genuinely new.
Right, the aha moments. That's what you want.
But then there's infrastructural surprise, and the source says this is almost always bad.
Oh, yeah. Definitely bad. This is when your code just stops working, or you can't find that file from last week, or worse, You send your project to someone and they can't even run it because things are missing or paths are wrong.
It's like trying to drive with a flat tire, basically.
Pretty much. You're just stuck. So the whole point of RStudio, used well with good project management, is to stamp out those infrastructural surprises.
You can actually focus on the interesting stuff, the analytical findings.
Exactly. Focus on the insights, not fighting the tools.
Now, this next point, this really struck me, the idea of keeping future you happy. It sounds simple, but
Yeah.
we've all been there, haven't we? Looking back at something you did months ago and just thinking, what was I doing?
Oh, absolutely. Total blank stare at your own work.
But the sources are adamant. Even if you work alone, you always have a collaborator, and that's future you. How does messing that up usually cause problems?
Well, future you is your most important collaborator, really. Neglecting them means lost time, pure frustration, often just having to redo work entirely because you can't figure out what past you did.
You can't replicate your own results, maybe.
That's a big one. Or you burn hours just trying to remember what final date of 2revised.csv actually was.
Oh, familiar pain.
And this is where the definition of a project comes in. The source defines it really well. A self-contained unit. Something you can share, others can recreate, you can package it up, whatever.
Not just code, then.
No, it's the whole ecosystem. You've got your raw data, the original stuff, never touch it. Then process data, the cleaned up, transformed versions. Your scripts, your code, functions, maybe reusable bits of code, documents like reports or slides.
Okay.
And your outputs, the charts, the tables.
Okay.
And crucially, metadata. Data about your data, who made it, when was it last updated, what software versions did you use? All that stuff is vital. So future you or anyone else can actually understand and trust your work.
And it implies thinking in terms of separate folders, right?
Right.
Keeping inputs away from outputs. Raw data sacred.
Exactly. The goal is a project folder you could zip up and send to someone or move to a different computer and it would just work. It's about building a solid foundation now so future you isn't rebuilding the whole house later.
Makes sense. And this leads straight into version control, another key piece. The sources really push Git in GitHub.
Yep, critical. Think about writing a big report, you save versions, right? Version 1, version 2, final really.
Uh-huh.
Git is like that, but on steroids. It automatically tracks every single change you make to any file in your project, not just saving copies, but tracking the differences.
So you can roll back if you mess up.
Easily.
Yeah.
You can go back to any point in time, see exactly what changed, compare versions. And if you're working with others, it helps merge everyone's changes without chaos. GitHub is then the place online where you store all those versions, making it easy to share and collaborate.
So it's about reproducibility again, and just having a clear history, which, again, helps future you immensely.
Other collaborators, definitely.
Okay, and finally, just touching on it, the sources mention Quarto for sharing the results.
Right. So once you've done the analysis, found those cool insights, Quarto helps you package it up, turn your R code and results into nice reports, presentations, even websites. It's that last step, communicating what you found effectively.
Got it. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up, bring it back home for everyone listening. Today, we've really taken a deep dive, looking at how to move from just having opinions to making properly informed decisions using data. We started with that core motivation, data mining, as this iterative way to augment your thinking using computational tools, using data to make decisions about the world.
Yeah, augmenting, not replacing. And we looked at R, that open source language built by stats folks,
Yeah.
but crucially supported by this amazing global community, R bloggers, R ladies.
Right. And RStudio, as the environment that kind of corrals everything, manages the project, helps you avoid those frustrating infrastructural surprises.
You can actually find the analytical surprises, the real insights.
We talked a lot about future you, didn't we? And why organizing projects, self-contained, shareable, recreatable units with clear data, metadata, code is just fundamental.
Absolutely crucial for yourself down the line and for anyone you might work with.
And we touched on Git and GitHub for version control, keeping track of everything, and Quarto for publishing your findings nicely.
And you know, the fascinating thing is learning these tools, understanding this structure. It's not just about coding. No, it's a whole mindset shift, really. It changes how you approach problems, how you manage information, how you ensure your work is solid and understandable. It's a structure for thinking.
A structure for thinking. I like that. It applies way beyond just data science projects then.
Definitely. Any complex task, any knowledge work could probably benefit from this kind of structured approach.
Which leads us perfectly into our final thought for you to mull over. Given that we frame data science as augmenting human thinking, how could adopting this kind of structured, project-based approach to information, maybe even outside of coding, change how you tackle complex problems? Or just manage your own knowledge? How can you make sure that your future you always looks back and thanks present you?